And welcome everyone to Missouri Valley Conference Chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Missouri State's head coach, Dana Ford. 9-1, 5-1 in the Valley, off to a great start. Next up, though, is undefeated Drake when they come off a pause next weekend, the 26th and the 27th. But let's first deal with where this team is at right now. How would you assess it, Dana?
Well, I think we've ultimately just done, I think, what we were supposed to do. When you look at our schedule this year, I think we've been favored in most games. And, we've protected our home court. And we've gone on the road to win a couple, one at Northern Iowa, two at Valpo. And, when you look at our group, I think that given the circumstances of when we played those teams, I would expect that you would think we would win, and we've handled our business thus far.
Yeah, on the court, I mean, you're averaging over 80 points a game, shooting 50%. I mean, the numbers offensively, which, by the way, I would argue nationally, it's much better than I think we all anticipated when there wasn't a normal offseason, a normal spring, normal time together. So how do you explain it with your group that the numbers are, pretty good or maybe even higher than projected?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Number one, I think the way the game is officiated has finally started to take its place. And what I mean by that is with the rule changes that we started having a couple of years ago, there was going to be an adjustment of a couple of years. And I think the committee, they set out for higher scoring games. And I think coaches have finally adjusted to that. As well as you start thinking about the analytics side of things. I think more and more coaches each year are buying into that. And that's ultimately the decisions that we've made here is paying more attention to points per possession, the higher percentage shots, and, trying to be difficult to guard in whatever we're doing, making it hard to guard. And now we've got some talented offensive players, and we got fantastic shooters and unselfish passers. So that's made us difficult to defend. But ultimately, we shoot a lot of layups, and we have really good layup makers, and it's just all about the analytics.
So talking about players that can put the ball in the basket, Isaiah Mosley's at the top of that list, certainly for you. But you've had multiple double-figure scores. So right at this juncture, so 10 games in, how would you assess their production?
I mean, our guys have done a great job. I mean, when you look at our numbers, like you mentioned, that they're really good, considering that this is an inexperienced team in regards to playing together. I think we had a total of 10 newcomers or 10 guys that didn't play last year that are now playing this year. And a couple of our returners are really good players, though. Gage Prim, Isaiah Mosley, and Jamonte Black. Those three guys played a bulk of the minutes last year, and they've done a fantastic job leading our group of newcomers. We added Jared Ritter back to the fold. He keeps the floor spaced. And then we added a junior college All-American point guard, DeMarcus Sharp, who does a great job distributing the ball. Keaton Hervey stretches the defense, is a fantastic layup maker. So I think ultimately, altogether, they've really gelled quickly, and that's helped us on the offensive end.
So the back-to-backs, it's, something that happens normally in the Ivy, but basically the majority of conferences, if you take out the Power 5 group, they're playing them. And I've heard pros and cons on both sides. A lot of times the second day is better than the first because a lot of teams are actually traveling up the day of the first, and that can certainly affect things. What's it been like, certainly when you've gone on the road for the back-to-backs?
Well, I think I was one of the first coaches in our league to really vouch for this, and I think I made a mistake with that. I have not enjoyed them, and I think the number one thing that I don't enjoy the most is when or if you win the first game, you don't get a chance to enjoy it. And it used to be like if you won on the road in league play, it was a big deal. Well, now if you win on the road the first game, you're already thinking about the second game. And that's difficult when you start talking about the mental preparation for getting your team back up less than 24 hours to beat a team that's probably upset that they just lost. And so I think the levels of desperation really, really amp up a notch in that second game. And I think we've seen a lot of teams that have lost the first, have bounced back to split. the series. But I think the second part that I didn't think about was, as you continue to get into whatever part of the league race you're going to be in, whether it's for a championship or seeding, positioning, XYZ, you can end up having to play on the road against a team back-to-back days that in a normal year you would have a home game after that road game. And so it's, as it goes on, to me, it's less and less appealing. But obviously we made that decision to try to get the most games in.
And last two things, Dana. I mean, one is there's going to be one more at-large berth with no Ivy League, so there's 37 versus 36. The Valley has consistently been one of those leagues that's always in contention for multiple berths. At this juncture, basically halfway through, with you guys and Drake and maybe one or two others, but certainly with you guys and Drake for sure. How would you feel about making a case that this league potentially could deserve multiple?
Well, I think there's some evidence to that. I mean, when you look at Bradley, unfortunately, they haven't played a bulk of the games yet, but Bradley's going to be in that conversation. Loyola's going to be in that conversation. I believe their net is top 40 at the moment. And then obviously Drake's sitting around 10. So I think this year we've got opportunities if the committee's going to go by the net, right? In which we really don't know, but in the last couple of years, since we've adopted this method, that's what they've used. And we only hope that they do that again this year. And so the thing that's been attractive for our league is we're going to have the opportunity for quad 1 and 2 games in our league this year. Whereas last year, the only quad 1 game that many of us had the opportunity for was at Northern Iowa, right? And so, but now, you look at our schedule, we're fortunate. We get to host a lot of these teams that I'm mentioning. So we're going to have quad 1 games on our home court, and it's going to be up to us to take advantage of that.
And lastly, Dana, I've asked your peers this and players literally almost every day. And to a person, the word that comes out is grateful, blessed, joyful to be able to do this. Regular college students, I'll keep hammering this, they don't get a chance to do much outside of virtual academics. But college athletes, especially basketball at this time of the year, are getting a chance to play, even though it's under extraordinary circumstances in an unprecedented year in all of our lives. How do you feel about the season right now and the opportunities that you guys have?
I would just echo a lot of the words that you've used. This is an unbelievable opportunity for us. Just be grateful, like you mentioned, to be playing sports at a time in which, to me, it's a double-edged sword. Some may question why we're playing due to the safety, while others, we're bringing a lot of inspiration and hope and things to look forward to. So I think if you go about it the right way, it's a positive thing. And we're just grateful to have the opportunity. In fact, that's the only goal we had this year with our whole season, was to have fun. And because we felt that feeling of despair and void that everyone felt last year when the season was literally just stripped away. And even if you were advancing for postseason play or trying to gear up for next year, you still have something stripped from you. And so we're just fortunate and grateful to have this opportunity. And hopefully we're bringing more hope than despair.
Appreciate it, Dana. Stay safe.
You got it.